Coming at you live from the 405. It's the 5 on the 4 podcast, featuring 5 unironically unique voices in the podcast game of music, sports, and the culture.
Welcome back, y'all. In the esteemedest of corners, we bring you another well-established, very important, very esteemed
Sometimes.
gentleman. I'm Terrell Love.
My name is Tev McDaniel.
We bring to you Aurelius Miles Francisco.
Here on 59 and a half minutes. So today, we are here in your place, in your space.
Welcome.
Your corner.
Yes.
We are here to ask a few of the same questions that we have asked our fellow partners. I want to start with a little bit of ear penetration today.
Okay.
Let's just start high. Who is it and when was it that you were first penetrated? And then also, who was it that penetrated you?
Well, thank you, Mr. Terrell, Mr. Tevin, for inviting me here, for giving me the honor of being interviewed in my own home, in my corner here. It is a true blessing to be with you, wonderful, dark-skinned, chocolatey brothers this evening. So the question that I think you're asking me is, who was the first influential artist in my life, musical artist? And that question, for those who know me, is super easy.
It's a way to take it.
Yes, as one would say, one might say, as you might say, right? For me, that's a very easy answer, right? My sort of guiding light in music, from as early as I can remember, is none other than Chicago's own, the greatest artist of all time, the greatest hip-hop producer of all time, Mr. Kanye West.
Mr. West.
Mr. West, yes.
Mr. West.
I remember back in 2004, I was a young, ripe lad, and my sister, who was very influential in my own music taste, had a stereo in her room. Me and my brother, we shared a room at the time. We didn't have a stereo. She did. So whatever she played is what I was listening to. And I remember in 2004, she was blasting something in her speakers. And a lot of the time I'd be annoyed. I'd be like, man, if you don't turn that shit down. But one morning, I hear coming out the speakers, boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. I'm ahead of my time, sometimes years out. So the powers that be won't let me get my ideas out. And that make me want to get my advance out and move to Oklahoma and just live in my aunt's house. And little 7-year-old Miles was like, man, what the fuck? This nigga who's getting played on my sister's stereo, who to me is the biggest nigga in the world, is saying my state's name, which I feel like Oklahoma is nothing at this time. You know, it's like, I live in Oklahoma, like, you know, what is that? You know, like, we got OU and that's it. Like,
Hornets.
You know, the Hornets, yeah. That was before Hornets, for real. Yeah, a couple years before.
Yeah.
So, like, anyway. So, like, to hear this nigga, this big-ass artist, like, shout out my home state in that way was, like, a huge deal. And from that moment of hearing that verse on Gone, Late Registration, like, Kanye has been, for me, like, you know, one of my, like, musical figures and idols, for real. And so really diving into Late Registration, a couple years later getting into College Dropout, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, 808s and Heartbreak, through elementary school, like, all of that was, like, huge for me. And then still to this day, like, man, Kanye's music, even through all the controversy and shit, that nigga's fucking music has stuck with me like this whole time. And I remember like even like in high school and stuff and in middle school, because I always like saw myself as like a very different person. Like I wasn't like everybody else. And I felt like Kanye was like that. And he was influential for me in that way, because it was like, this nigga don't give a fuck. He don't give a fuck what nobody got to say. He knows he's that nigga. He knows he's very confident. Like, he knows he's good at what he does, And I admired that about him. I felt like I had some of those same sort of characteristics and attributes. And now some of that shit gets to be a little toxic, a little too cocky, right? But like, I really love that shit that like the nigga was like, how, Sway? The nigga was really like, shut up, Charlamagne, you don't know what you're talking about. I do. That nigga really looked at Jay-Z, the biggest rapper in the world, and was like, no nigga, I'm not just a beat maker. Like, I can rap too. And then prove that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, to have that level of confidence in himself, like, that shit was always dope to me. So, like, his story and his music has always been, like super influential.
You've made some pretty grand statements, right? The greatest artist of all time.
Yeah.
The greatest.
It's facts only.
Producer of all time. And it's facts and facts only. Would you agree with Kanye West in some of the bullshit that he has said in his life? Or would you say that you would like to separate everything? Because I also think about, Kanye West has said some very prolific things for black people.
Yes.
However, he said some very unprolific things for black people. So I'm wondering, where does that separation come from?
I always like to say that I'm a Kanye stan from 2003 to 2016.
Okay.
That 2016 when he started wilding out, when I felt like his politics and what he was saying was no longer like with what I believed in, that's when I cut it off. So you got all the Trump stuff, all the MAGA stuff, and even a little bit before then, but I was still standing 10 toes during the Yeezus press run, and he had the Confederate flag and all that. I was still like, man, he's just an artist. You know what I'm saying? And I was getting into the slavery was a choice and all of this crazy shit that the nigga was saying. And so, yeah, like I don't ride with a lot of what that nigga says. And a part of it is also like, when you a kid, you look up to these niggas, like you really idolize them. You're not looking at what they're saying. It's just about like, does the music penetrate, right? For real. You get older and you start to think like, now like what they say, like, and so a part of that too for me was like, to stop like really holding celebrities on a pedestal or like rappers on a pedestal. Like, they human beings just like me who can believe stupid shit just like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that's why it was like, for me, like I was no longer on some like, I'm Kanye and at 10 toes, whatever Kanye said, he's right. Nah, it's like, no, that nigga's wrong about a lot of shit. But guess what? That nigga's albums is still fucking banging. That nigga's production is still better than even the best producers out here, for real. You know what I'm saying? So, like, those things can all, like, be true for me. And so, like, but then and that's why the shit was so fucking painful for me in 2016 and 2017 with Trump and shit, because Kanye was saying some profound shit. Like, as you said earlier in his career, like, I remember when Katrina hit, that nigga got on national TV and said George Bush don't care about black people. And people try to act like Kanye was never, like, about the people. Like, he said the president of the United States on national TV after a fucking natural disaster that the president don't care about black people. Perfect. And guess what? He was right. Like, George Bush didn't give a fuck about these niggas. It was a bunch of poor black people who was dying after this hurricane. Like, that shit was true. You know what I'm saying? Like, when, like, his most controversial moment, Taylor Swift, like, you didn't deserve this shit Beyonce did. In what world does Taylor Swift deserve a fucking award over Beyonce? That nigga was like, did he do it in the best way? No. Was that nigga fucked up? Yes.
Was he right?
Was he right? Yes. So like at the end of the day, like it's not just like everything that nigga, you know what I'm saying? But also like some of his best attributes, I think, have always also been his pitfall. His extreme fucking self-confidence to say that shit to Jay-Z and Dame Dash and Roc Nation, like, no, I'm a rapper too, nigga, is the same shit that has led him to like say some wild stuff and be like, no, I'm right, or like, no, I know what I'm talking about, or like, that's like shit that's just historically inaccurate. And so, yeah, But with the music, man, I try to stick it to the music, and I'll be like, yeah, you shouldn't go to fucking a music artist for your political ideology. You know what I'm saying? Like, those things are different. But as far as the fucking music, man, Kanye is the best. Kanye is the best.
So, we talked a little bit about Kanye. Who else is there that sort of tickles you, that sort of strokes those feelings that you have on the inside?
You don't have to mute the TV. Yeah, it does that shit when it sleeps. Sorry. There you go.
As we're talking about sleep,
You was like, what the fuck is that?
talk about getting stroked to sleep, getting rocked, as Aaliyah would say.
Rock the boat.
Good reference. Good reference.
Really strokes your strings.
What really strokes?
Strokes. That's a great question. Great question. You know, the next artist, the second artist that I would say would absolutely have to be Beyonce. Beyonce knows. Yeah. And also pretty early on, I think like 2006, 2007, in my like music listening career, Beyonce's album was actually the first physical album that I ever got. It was B-Day. And I remember niggas was on my fucking head at church. It was like, you got the Beyonce album for Christmas, nigga? Like, you a nigga, like, what are you doing? But I was like, man, Beyonce go crazy. Fuck what y'all talking about. Like, B-Day was crazy. Upgrade You, Give Me Body. Like, come on, man. And then also, like, yeah, like, I had the biggest fucking crush on Beyonce. Like, I remember the little inside of the album. I don't know what the little cover album. Like, them model photos, like, Beyonce was the standard, nigga. She was the standard back then and today, nigga. Like, for real. And little fifth grade me knew that. You know what I'm saying? I was ahead of the curve. I was ahead of the curve, okay? So, yeah, Beyonce for me, though, for real, like, super influential, super dope. Knows how to make a fucking hit, but also, like, learned how to write her own shit with Lemonade when she was going through some you know, some trials and tribulations in her life. Like, really became, like, an amazing artist with the music videos and the concerts and all that shit. So, Beyonce has been and always is, like, again, even as politics, not really it. Because, you know, all these folks, they become millionaires and shit. Like, they get attached to the money. You know, and like they going to do whatever's in their best interest. But, again, as far as the music, as far as the artistry, the concert design, like, all of that shit, like, and unfortunately I've never seen Beyonce in concert, but I've seen the Netflix specials and the movies. You know what I'm saying? She's, you know, second to none. You know, like, it's an argument with Michael for real. Like, she's crazy. So yeah, Beyonce for me. And then the other one would be the internet. I remember in middle school, me and all my homeboys, we loved Our Future. We fucked with Our Future heavy. Tyler, Earl, Frank Ocean. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of the niggas. And a part of that was, of course, Sid. Sid the Kid, you know what I'm saying? Who at that time was just a producer or whatever. Come out, like, she damn near the best artist in Our Future. Yeah. You know? So, like, was following her, and then the internet popped off. I think Matt Marshall is his name. He's one of the producers. Like, yeah, the internet's music, like neo soul, all of that, like, I've fucked with, like, since middle school and high school, for real. I just think, yeah, Sid has one of the best voices, and like, she's real underrated too. But like, just that classic, like, she not gonna blow you out the water, but she don't got to, because like, she understands how the voice is like an instrument with all the other guitars and drums and all of that other stuff. Like, so she's real good about like letting that shit hit. And then Steve Lacy joined the internet, and it was over with. You know, she had somebody to harmonize with her. So I say Beyonce, and then the internet, which is a group. But yeah.
Do you have any follow-up questions for Mr. Francisco with this music?
I mean, it seems like it's a very colorful, well-painted universe that he dives into, you know, every once in a while. Another universe I would like to get into, transition to a little bit.
Yes.
Let's dive into your favorite sports, athletes, teams.
Yes.
You know, I see you currently have one. I'm you know, for the viewers out there, I am sitting here, you know, my co-host. He's a very established, esteemed bronzexual.
Bronzexuality, baby.
And
It's a thing.
Hell yeah.
It's a thing. It's a real thing.
Hell yeah.
And we might have another the other gentleman,
And do.
that represents the bronsexual community. And
Hair flip.
hair flip. Hit it. You know, you just like to elaborate on that. You know where that started from.
Yes.
Where was that?
Flip my hair.
Where was that?
In
That
the
seed
middle.
planted.
Yes, absolutely. You know, LeBron's seed was really planted for me
How
from the
many
beginning.
seeds? How many seeds?
You know,
did the
at least 23. Yeah,
23 and me.
yeah. Yes. 2003. You know, niggas like to call me a bandwagon this time. I ain't no bandwagon, nigga. I was 5, 6 years old, bitch. Fuck you. You know, like this nigga LeBron already, and like when I look back at his story, like, and I think about myself as a 16, 17-year-old nigga, that nigga was in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Because of his hooping capabilities. He was already on the cover of Sports Illustrated. ESPN was interviewing him,
Damn.
calling him the chosen one, he the next up, all of this. And he not only lived up to all of that hype, but surpassed that shit. So for me, like LeBron, just like Kanye with music and hip hop and rap, LeBron is the pinnacle of the sport of basketball, which I fucking love. Like, and I got to see that shit from the very beginning all the way to now. This nigga's in year 21, still hooping, still dropping 40 on niggas. Like, still doing his thing. But to see all of the ups and downs of his career, to like feel that, like people, sometimes people don't understand like the fucking pressure of being a sports fan, and that shit sound trivial, but it's for real. Like, nigga, I sat with every fucking bucket in 2009 against the Celtics. I sat with every fucking bucket in 2010 when that nigga lost his Celtics before he left. When he went to Miami against the Mavs, when he finally got that first one against OKC, when he got the back-to-back against San Antonio, and then lost to San Antonio. Like, every bucket, every shot, I'm talking about, my stomach was dropping to my, like, to my pit, like, for real, because, like, I was just like, please go in. Because all of the pressure, like, and all of my friends and shit from high school, like, and by this time, Oklahoma City has a team, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, why you not a fan of the Thunder or whatever? And I'm like, man, fuck all that. This nigga LeBron the GOAT. And this was before it was popular to say that shit. But I was like, man, fuck all that. Like, this nigga in Miami is different. This nigga is 270, 6'8", with the fucking passing capabilities of a point guard, and about fast as a fucking wide receiver. And I'm like, I ain't never seen nothing like this. So yeah. And so like that shit was just crazy. And like I remember here in Oklahoma City, like game 2 of the NBA Finals, in his first one, that nigga crushed OKC's heart. And there I was with a Miami Heat number 6 jersey next to my dad. My dad was pissed at me, nigga. I said, I don't care. I ain't gonna say fuck you because that's my daddy. But like I don't care. Like it's LeBron. Like you know what I'm saying? And he crushed OKC's heart on the way to 4-1 victory to get his first championship. So LeBron for me like really is like that guy to me, clearly the GOAT. And like on and off the court, because a big part of my life too is like all of the hobbies, sports, music, all of that, but also like around the political activism and all that. Like I remember when Trayvon Martin happened in Miami, you know, like they staged a protest, the Miami Heat did, that was led by LeBron and D-Wade. LeBron, D-Wade, Carmelo, and D-Wade also, you know, have made a lot of noise around social justice and activism and things. And again, haven't been perfect, you know, have not been on the right side of a lot of issues, but on a lot of things, especially pertaining to black people, like they have been there. So I fuck with LeBron on the off-court stuff too, with the I Promise Foundation, starting school in Akron, giving full rides to everybody who graduates from his school to Akron University. Like that stuff is super dope, and I feel like you know, you get both sides of it. Like clearly the best hooper and like cares about the community, which I can fuck with. So
it's safe to say that he loves the way that he can put his balls in the hole and then distribute the ball to all the different pieces.
Literally every piece.
Every piece.
On and off the court.
On and off the court, he can just distribute himself, the seeds of his growth, grow
just plants and
everywhere. Outside of balls and holes, what other sports?
well, speaking of balls and holes, Tiger Woods. Fuck with Tiger Woods heavy?
Big influence for you.
Yeah, fuck with Tiger Woods heavy, you know what I'm saying?
Tiger Woods.
Are you a golfer by any means? Like, is that something you want to?
By no means do I golf, fuck with golf, trying to learn to golf, anything like that. But to see a black person dominate a white man's sport,
All for
I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? Same with Serena Williams and Venus Williams in tennis. You know what I'm saying? They did not like those young black girls, and they fucking box braids with them big ass beads dominating these little white hoes from Russia. They didn't. But guess what? They did that shit. So I fucked with Serena and Venus heavy for sure. Tiger's there. Absolutely. And then, of course, with the NFL, you got the Dallas Cowboys. My college team, OU. Born and raised. OU will always be there. So I rocks with it.
Sooner born and sooner bred. And
As they
when
say.
he dies, he'll be sooner dead.
Are you dead?
We are here in the esteemed corner with the esteemed and second oldest. I didn't mention this before, but we also have another oldie who in 2004 was probably about 21. So we want to make sure that folks can understand that too. There's a little experience gap. However, from the Sooners to the Cowboys, to Tiger to Serena, to Ye to Braun, to the internet, and to Beyonce, we have learned a lot about here, Mr. Francisco. And I want to just close it out with you, my co-host, Mr. Love. Is there anything that you would like to say?
Just like we, said earlier, described his universes. They're very broad, colorful, but yet well connected.
Yes.
And that wouldn't come from nothing less than a more esteemed young man. In this room, almost elderly man. But we present you the one and only, the legendary Dallas Cowboy, LeBron James, reppin', Kanye steppin', the internet reppin', Beyonce queen steppin', Tiger Woods swinging, Aurelius.
Ball loving.
Thank you.
Miles Francisco.
It's been my ultimate pleasure to be with you brothers tonight. You chocolate dark skinned brothers. Good evening and good night.
59 and a half minutes, cuz. 5
From the foe.
If you don't know, now you know. Nigga!